Yes, it's offshore central banks.
It's J.P. Morgan Chase, and they outsource the data servicing to India, which means in Tennessee, which is one of the states where they provide the services, we now have 20% of our population on food stamps. Okay, so more than 1 million people on food stamps, and those people, many of them get unemployment checks or welfare checks. They get food stamps, and they sit around and we pay them not to work. Meantime, we have beaucoup beautiful farmland. You know, the farmers can't find labor. Everybody's too busy, you know, dealing drugs or, you know, being on whatever government subsidy. And we've got the big agribusiness moving down into Latin America, controlling the agriculture, you know, shipping the food in. It's highly processed. It makes us sick. That's part of the healthcare problem. And so, and J.P. Morgan Chase is doing the servicing work, and the theory is that we can pay somebody in India or in Latin America to do something that the people who are getting those food stamps could do here, and it's cheaper to pay them not to work and then pay somebody else in Latin America to do the farming and somebody in Asia to do the data servicing, and that's just not true. The numbers don't add up. And that's why if the state and local players can sit down and say, okay, how can we re-engineer this, move all those jobs back to our state, do this on an economic basis, where is the opportunity to create lots more cash flows into the local small businesses, lots more equity, lots more skills, lots more knowledge. You know, it's all there, but you're going to have to deal with, okay, we can't let the feds have control because they're literally draining our lifebloods. It's like a vampire.
Well, I think the number one mission is to continue to point out they're criminals out in the open who won't say where trillions of dollars went, and then we find out it went to them personally, and they ordered the holding companies that they laundered the money through, like AIG, to not, in federal filings, tell the feds or the public that the very bankers running policy and government were the ones that were getting the money. I mean, a 5-year-old can understand that basic fraud. And the fact that we do hear talk of indictment on MSNBC, and we do even see Ed Schultz saying, man, Obama's really bad. What about the Obama hoax? I mean, obviously, it's all dog and pony show. Obviously, you know, 8 years of Bush, people figure out he's a fraud, the new savior. He's just meant to con people long enough for them to get their agenda through. Then Glenn Beck's organizing the right wing to get Republicans back in.
The reality is the change we're talking about cannot be engineered at Washington, because we have created a financial mechanism that would allow us to borrow massive amounts of money globally. And so we've had massive amounts of money, and as long as the criminals could engineer that subsidy, this could keep going, and they could offer more money at cheaper prices, and we've been willing to go along with that. Now, do you remember my red button story?
Yes, but you recap it.
Okay, so I was giving a speech to a group of people called Spiritual Frontiers Foundation. They have a conference once a year to talk about how we can evolve our society spiritually. Very committed, dedicated people. I'm in the middle of the speech and explaining that the Department of Justice in 1999 had told a reporter I was working with that the U.S. economy launders $500 billion to $1 trillion a year of all dirty money. So not just narcotics trafficking, but illegal gambling, tax evasion, financial fraud, everything. Okay, now with the financial fraud, it's much bigger. But at that time, $500 billion to $1 trillion. So I said to this wonderfully spiritual, evolved audience, if you could push a red button to stop all hard narcotics trafficking in your community, I said, why would you not push the button? They said, we don't want our mutual funds to go down. We don't want our government checks to stop.
But see, that's the scam. Justice be done. May the heavens fall. I mean, all of these parasitic systems cost more than they make, and they're wrong.
Right. And so what it's going to come down to is we've seen the Fed monetize the whole Treasury and mortgage market last year. And so obviously you can't keep monetizing at this rate. And so now the day has come where the bell is ringing and saying, we can't get free money forever anymore, so something's got to give, and we've got to change. And those changes are going to happen, Alex, in the places where our governors, our attorney generals, and our sheriffs can come together, assert 10th Amendment right, and now we're all going to have to support them in re-engineering the economic flows. But when it comes out the other side of the sausage maker, we're all going to have to be a lot more productive.
Well, it is true that half the population is on some form of government dole or payment or job. and the government's only getting more aggressive, more parasitic, more militarized.
Right.
And what the cops and the bureaucrats don't understand is the bankers have already moved offshore. They're literally for 3 years been buying homes offshore. They believe they're probably going to lose control, but they've already run off with the bag of money.
I think it is very, very important. I said in my year-end wrap-up, which I called the year of the giant vampire squid, the wonderful story from Rolling Stone, declared Goldman Sachs the giant vampire squid. Basically what these guys did, Alex, in the 90s and early 2000s, they moved trillions of dollars out of this country, a lot of it illegal. To do that, they issued massive fraudulent securities and derivatives, and what this bailout did was it refinanced them out of the fraud. And so they have pulled off not only the financial coup d'etat, but pushing the liabilities for the fraudulent securities they issued to do it back onto the taxpayers.
And they're moving their base of operations to China and openly bad-mouthing America and saying it's not a good place to invest to further depress it so they can buy everything up.
The door is not completely shut. A Geithner investigation and indictment, because we now have, remember, we have Geithner saying, I proposed a deal where I didn't give Goldman Sachs 100 cents on the dollar, and they said they were fully hedged, so they didn't care, and they'd rather see a default, and they'd pick it up on the other side. And we now have the Goldman CEO and chairman saying in testimony today, well, wait a minute, nobody offered me that deal. So one of them has got to be lying. So we now have pitted the Secretary of the Treasury and the chairman of Goldman Sachs, and one has got to be lying. So if you can turn this into, testimony under oath, investigation, you can still open a door and unravel this whole thing. So it is not, it's never, since I'm a big woman, I hate to say it's never over till the fat lady sings, but it's never over till the fat lady sings. So I think you're hammering on the Geithner and a possible Geithner indictment is very, very important, because let me tell you, it is inconceivable to me that that Geithner is not criminally liable for what's happened.
Well, we have to pierce this veil of infallibility and popery, or whatever you want to call it, where the elites just stumble around in fancy suits with SWAT teams around them saying, I will rob this, I will rob that, and everyone just bows down to them. And the image of these criminals being indicted or in trouble, like Watergate, but these crimes are a trillion times that literally, could bring them down, just like Copenhagen went down. The whole Copenhagen thing went down in flames. Hundreds of nations have fallen to tyranny in the last century alone. This is our last chance to not relive history.
As we're finishing off this agenda, they'll be pulling the rug from underneath Americans at home.
They have tremendous influence on our president and Congress, and they really are calling the shots.
I think it's incumbent upon all of us as American citizens to pay attention.
Fall of the Republic identifies the enemies of our nation, the criminal offshore cartel, hell-bent on destroying sovereignty and on its ashes constructing world government.
Tim Geithner, Bernanke, they're arsonists. They're asking for more matches. And the Congress is saying, who do we make the check out to?
Today seems like nobody does care. And right now in Washington, D.C., we have seen a fall of the Republic.
Get your copy of Fall of the Republic on DVD at Infowars.com or watch it online right now in super high quality at prisonplanet.tv.
One major world crisis away from having a totalitarian type of system.
The main event is the wholesale destruction of the world economy.
The push for every nation on the globe to identify and number all of its citizens.
Friends, I hope that you will order Shadow Government from Infowars.com. We also have some specials, and you can get some of our other films half price when you order Shadow Government. A new level in production quality and in information. It exposes how a cashless society, surveillance, beast grid of total control is being put into place. This film needs to be seen. Everybody needs to get it. So order yours today. Show it to your friends, your family, your church, your neighbors, your boss, your employees. Shadow Government, ladies and gentlemen. Get your copy at Infowars.com today. Shadow Government. It gives Big Brother a black eye. Available at Infowars.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139. Hello, this is Alex Jones with some important questions. If you're going into a battle,
and they give you a rifle and a sidearm, how much ammunition do you want? My answer would be all I can get. In the battle for freedom and the lives of your loved ones, food is your only ammunition. How much do you want? When do you want it? Now or after the battle starts? When will you need it? Can you buy it without proper identification? Will there be any food? Will it make your children sick? If there's a quarantine and you can't feed yourself, will you go to the gathering center and be immunized? You wipe out all these problems if you have a good food supply. Food is your ammunition to fight for your freedom and your life. How much will you need? We don't know. How much do you want? All you can get. I'm Alex Jones. I want all of you good guys to live to fight another day. Call 1-800-409-5633 or check it out on the web at efoodsdirect.com. Again, that number, 1-800-409-5633.
What's your home worth? How can you compare local real estate agents? And how do you get MLS listings for the entire country? If you're thinking of buying a home,